You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him.
The path to peace and the path to prosperity.
What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
Hello, Earthlings, and welcome to the Thundering Dicecast channel, where your boys, the Thundering Dice Bros, will be bringing you our news and commentary takes to continue our crusade against misinformation. Our fantasy exploits and Wheel of Time takes will, of course, still be on our main channel, Thundering Dice.
Today, we react to President Volodymyr Zelensky's Oval Office visit with President Donald Trump and the imp J.D. Vance. Will this be a constructive meeting? Do they save Ukraine? Let us watch and see.
For 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the President of the United States' words mattered more than the President of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
God, Trump.
Okay.
You weren't there. That's not what he's saying.
I mean, to give credit to J.D. Vance's opening statement, I do sort of agree that diplomacy is a good thing to definitely at least start engaging on. I mean, you can take away the Putin's a bad faith actor and having to negotiate with him and his invasion, all that other stuff. Just on the face value of the statement, I do agree that negotiation to end war is a good idea. But
You can only negotiate in good faith with two parties that both want peace. I believe Ukraine wants peace. I don't believe Russia wants peace.
No. I can't point to a point in history where Russia's wanted peace. They've always been they've always just been expansionatory. That they've always wanted more land because either the Tsars or the Soviet Union or now Putin. It's massive bulleted example. So definitely doesn't want peace.
And Putin feels entitled to Russia.
Yeah, and I have to say, so far with what Zelensky's saying, he's been extremely gracious to Trump. He's already given him, one compliment, basically being, God willing, or God bless, you will help stop this conflict. So, Right there, ego point, Zelensky.
yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. That people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract.
Yeah, that was the great hubris of Western Europe right there. So convinced that Putin was going to give up his ambitions, that the concessions already granted to him in Crimea and the Black Sea were going to be sufficient. But we know that these kind of dictators, it's like holding someone hostage or extorting somebody. As soon as you give in to the extortion the first time, they've got you. And they can always pull that card again. They can always extort you again because they know they've done it once and the terms have only gotten worse for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also, Putin's has a history of expansionism throughout his entire tenure with, Georgia, Oh, wait, what's the second one? I was going to say Moldova, but I know that's wrong.
Belarus, he's been exerting influence to a great degree, but I don't know if it's necessarily territorial right now.
It's not territorial in Belarus, but it is actually interesting because in Zelensky's interview with Lex Freeman, Zelensky says that the first missile salvos came in through Belarus. And Lukashenko called him up the next day and said, "I'm sorry, this was not me. Do not here are the locations. If you want to fire back, I understand." And Zelensky said, "Wait, what? No, I'm not going to fire back. You had no control over it. This is Russia's doing." So
already then Russia was using Belarusian airspace and Belarusian territory de facto their own.
Yeah.
Gas control. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about?
Yeah, that's really gets to the heart of it again. How do you negotiate with somebody like that who's already negotiated in bad faith and lied and gone back on his promises? There's no reason to. It just reminds me of trying to negotiate with Hitler in mid-1930s before France had fallen.
Indeed.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
Bloody hell!
That went from 0 to 100 really fast.
I mean,
I don't think. Wow! I think his responsibility there would be to. He said that American diplomacy or diplomacy was the way to solve this problem. When his counterpart, or no, his boss's counterpart in Ukraine, goes to ask him the same question. Okay, well, what would you suggest? You should have an answer, not with respect, which is the least respectful hand gesture and tone ever. That's like saying, not to be a dick, but you're about to be a dick.
And then followed up with, how disrespectful is it that you come here to litigate this in front of the media? I mean, you are on camera. Everyone is watching what is being said in this interview conversation. So obviously, something is going to be litigated. And he's just pointing out the fact that Putin is a bad faith actor.
Yes.
Why are you freaking out so
much?
With
examples. He has receipts in blood.
Yeah.
Right now,
hang on real quick. Before we get any further in this, I wanted to remind everybody that the press in attendance for this press conference here excluded most respected journalistic sources like the Associated Press and Reuters, and instead we had people like RT, Russia Times, Marjorie Taylor Greene's husband snuck in as a reporter to ask loaded questions of both of them. So this was very much set up for someone to watch, to display this to the Russian side, to their base. Excluding other people from it, like the Associated Press, is nonsense, because this very much is world news. This is something that everyone needs to know about.
Well, I would say in opposition to that, I mean, I agree that the Associated Press, Reuters, all these people, should be allowed into the room. But I would say that the Associated Press's case, in particular, has nothing to do with how they would cover this. Well, I mean, slightly, but has more to do with a weird conspiracy theory about, the Associated Press and other massive organizations that are global, forcing a world narrative on the American people that has, become funneled into the right-wing ecosphere, where they say that this is a bad thing and we need to get rid of them. So them being excluded brings along with it a host of other issues, not just this. But that's just for context, everyone.
Around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring it into this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually.
Because JD Vance just stated that what the Ukrainian military is doing is forcing people on the random look, there's a dude on the street, grab him, throw him in a truck, send him to the front line.
Which,
yeah.
It's different than conscription, guys. Conscription is a legal process, as a draft, as a lottery, etc. Forced conscription is like what Ian was saying, and it's actually what Korea did a lot during the Korean War. Would just snatch people out of their homes and off the streets and say, "You're drafted now. Congratulations."
Yeah. So very different things here. Kind of ludicrous.
Watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
I've seen zero attacking by him. Literally, what he's done so far is thanked. I said, God bless President Trump will actually solve this problem this time, has listed all the previous administrations and what they haven't done to help him. And they listed all the things that they tried to negotiate with Putin since 2014 that he has reneged on. And from the get-go, J.D. Vance has been the useful puppet here, just yelling at him for whatever perceived slights he's trumping up in his mind.
Yeah, this is absolutely ludicrous. And then Trump's just, I mean, honestly, I kind of applaud Trump just to sit in the middle, look back and forth, and be like, yeah, this is interesting.
He looks so lost.
What's going on here? This is good. Let's continue some more of this.
There's an empty room in between his ears. Holy cow.
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless. God bless. You will not have war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
You haven't tried to solve this problem, Donald Trump. You really haven't. You in this mineral agreement you wanted to sign, you included no guarantees to help Ukraine's safety.
Yeah, and without a safety guarantee, there is no reason any private company would go over to invest in the infrastructure. I mean, like, this right here is an actually interesting thing because, you know, there you have the same sort of issue with Gaza too. Even if Trump's Trump's peace deal with Israel and Gaza were to ever unfold, so long as Israel threatens to bomb Gaza whenever they think it needs,
pacifying.
Needs pacifying. No American or European conglomerate is going to go over there and start building infrastructure and having jobs there because there's a good chance that the IDF might just blow up all their hard work. And to give a real world example where, you know, like, we'll edit this a little bit out, where Reconstruction actually worked well is in Japan, when the Americans, you know, after the bombings and the surrender, America, I mean, had a security guarantee that the entire country was under its protection. So all sorts of corporations were completely fine to come in, pour a boatload of money, and rebuild the country in a very quick amount of time.
Same thing with a lot of Eastern Europe as well. Well, less Eastern Europe, more Western Europe with the Marshall Plan, because the Eastern Europe was basically given to the Soviet bloc. Here, you fix it. And they sure as hell didn't feel like doing that.
Yeah. So
without guarantees of peace and security, no one's going to want to come in and rebuild the infrastructure. No one's going to want to invest in Ukrainian industry and manufacturing and tech and all the things that you need to rebuild. No one's going to want to do that because, like you said, Putin could just turn around and do some fuckery again and start bombing Kyiv again or something. Who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. And then going back to what Trump just said, you don't know how we're going to feel. I mean, like,
he knows better than anyone else how you're going to feel when you're at war. He's been at war his entire presidency and before.
Yeah,
basically.
But he takes this as like a personal slight. It's funny because, like, Piers Morgan will always say, you know, Trump's got the thickest skin and the thinnest skin. You know, shit will just roll off his back like it's nothing. But then the littlest thing, like what Zelenskyy just said, you will feel this later on.
Don't tell us.
There's no, like, yeah, this wasn't an attack or anything. This was just like basically a pretty solid statement. Like, you will feel this sooner or later. And actually, we already have felt it sooner or later. I mean, like, the bread. I mean, like wheat prices. I mean, have still not fallen back to pre-war levels because of the supply demand. So I mean, like this shit is already been felt.
Not telling you
because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly
this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influenced.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influenced.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position.
You've allowed yourself to, gosh, listening to Trump is so hard not to just want to, I don't know, scratch the screen or something.
Yeah.
You're in no position.
And he happens to be right about
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having
Not
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives of
anymore.
millions of people.
You think
Holy fuck! What is this?
Just completely like talking over him from the get go. This was so obviously meant to be a like a smackdown of Zelensky. You know, they went into this obviously with the intention to be like, we woke up today and chose violence sort of mentality walking into this.
Yeah, this is all very performative. Nothing's really going on.
And it's literally a-diplomatic. Like, there are atheists. This is a diplomat.
You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling.
No, Putin started the game, and you are playing into Putin's hand, if you want to make a card metaphor here. World War III can best be served by your supporting Putin, Mr. President. You know, if you want to avoid World War III, you should want to make sure that Russia is kept in check. Best way to do that without sacrificing American lives is to support the war already going on against Russia.
Yeah.
That your allies are supporting as well. Remember, we have allies. It's the thing that you need in the world. No matter how smart and tough you think you are, you need allies.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also, like, Ukraine is not going to be the catalyst for World War III. Like, Russia is interesting. Their history is interesting. Putin is a very interesting person. But Putin is not going to sacrifice Russia, like, in totality, like, with an actual war against the West for Ukraine. It's never going to happen.
If he has guarantees the United States will completely abstain from the war, he may be more emboldened to make further aggressions.
But that's not World War
III. Just because the United States abstains in the beginning, just like we did in World War II, doesn't mean it wasn't called World War II. It's not like...
But World War II wasn't called.
It's not like World 1.5 until America joined, then it was World War II. It was World War II from, the very beginning.
Well, no, only in
and
retrospect.
America had nothing to do with it.
But it's only in retrospect because, like,
of course, and we're not going to.
Because, like, we only call the world wars after, like, in World War I. Yeah, it's like it's the Great War.
That's why we probably won't
call
this war. Okay, so it won't be World War III. It'll be the great European conflict of our time.
Fantastic. Well, okay, yeah, but okay, we're really splitting hairs right now, and we're talking about him talking about World War III. So that's why I mean, like, World War III won't happen unless America is also involved.
But I mean, America, it will be involved regardless of whether they say they're going to be involved or not. I mean, it's not possible for the United States to just unilaterally withdraw from all of Western Europe on a drop of a dime. You know how many thousands and thousands of troops are there? If somehow a renegade Putin shoots a fucking missile at Berlin, you think that's going to go unnoticed by the United States forces stationed there, who will inevitably be 100% personally impacted? Like, it's impossible not to have. It's impossible to have a conflict in Europe right now without the United States being involved. We have nuclear weapons in Europe. We have thousands of troops stationed in Europe. We have carrier groups around the Mediterranean, oftentimes near the Baltic. And, there's no possible, unless we withdrew it all, waited patiently, and then Putin was like, "All right, fantastic. You've followed your side of the bargain. You've withdrawn all your troops. Now we can go and let fly." Then maybe it'll be World War III in 2 years after that, but not right away. Either way. Let's continue.
With World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country.
Why is it all about disrespectful?
That's
What is disrespectful?
Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting,
today.
have you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and
Have you said thank you today? Stroke my dick today? God, JD Vance.
It's such a like right here. This is low dick energy, small dick energy, small dick energy. This is what it is. If you're ever wondering, anyone, what he just said is the most passive aggressive bullcrap a vice president can say in low dick energy.
And look at that low energy Trump just looking down like, dude, he's about to fall asleep. God damn.
campaign for the opposition in October, offer some...
You were just in Germany campaigning for the AfD, literal fucking Nazis, you dick.
...words of appreciation for the United States of America and the...
Should we include a supercut of all the times that he's thanked America?
Yeah.
It'd be really easy. I bet you someone's already done it. We'll just link someone else's.
Yeah.
President who's trying to save your country.
He's not doing anything of the sort. He is not trying to save anything. Gosh. What steps is he doing right now to save Ukraine?
You know what I think everyone watching, I think what we really need is a blood pressure monitor on my brother so you can see his heart rate and everything spike as he's watching this shit, because it's really funny being next to him. His face is like beet red.
No matter how much I tell myself I'm not going to get emotionally involved in this kind of crap, it just, because it matters, you should get involved too. You should get mad about it too. And if you're not getting mad, why you're not getting mad, you should talk to a therapist about, because you've got either you're disconnected from reality, you're not smart enough to get mad, which, welcome, maybe you'll get smarter watching this, or you're really that apathetic because you've taken SSRIs for too long or something. Sorry.
That last one's a dig at a certain someone.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly.
I want a decibelometer between what they're saying and how he's speaking.
Yeah, Zelensky is super soft-spoken this entire time. Those two are just amping up the volume.
Country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a lot
answer?
of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment.
You
and your
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
Yes, that may be in 2 weeks. No, we didn't start sending aid until weeks and weeks later after the war started, to be clear, and it's still been in spits and fits and starts. Gosh.
And it hasn't been all new. I mean, like, it's not all new equipment. Most of it is surplus that, I mean, a boatload of our allies, I mean, like South Korea shed basically, I mean, a crap load of its armory, sent it to Ukraine, and then went to the U.S. and be like, all right, we're going to purchase all new weapons from you. So it's like, this type of shit is not, as he's saying, it's not like we just gave them everything they asked for, had no restrictions on how far they could fire, even if they could fire rockets and missiles into Russia. I mean, like, America has done, I mean, like, has helped Ukraine a crap load, yes, no dispute, but it has also hindered Ukraine on every turn militarily.
And when Zelensky says we have been alone, he's talking about who has been shedding blood in this conflict, in this war.
Yeah, you have that little foreign legion, you know, who went over there at the beginning, and you still have that volunteer brigade that does help. But yeah, the vast majority of deaths are either Ukrainian or Russian.
Possibly North Korean.
Oh yeah, and a few North Koreans too. I forgot that they decided to say hi.
Yeah. But no, Ukrainian blood is being spilled, and they are doing it without a unilateral coalition that's backing them up. You know, even when the United States invaded Iraq and Afghanistan, we had a piecemeal coalition called the Coalition of the Willing that did include some big players like the United Kingdom. And then eventually more NATO or more EU troops rotated in and out of the conflict. But we still, they shed blood in defense of this nation as our allies in a foreign land, and we were never alone in that conflict. Zelensky, with all the aid and goodwill of the world behind him, he is still alone facing Russia. His men are alone as Ukrainians facing against this Russian invasion. There are no Germans fighting shoulder to shoulder. There are no Americans fighting shoulder to shoulder. So in that respect, they have faced this alone, and with begrudging help at times. And sometimes he gets this kind of a backlash, which is completely unwarranted.
Indeed.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less. That's
in
right.
2 weeks,
He did
of
say
course,
that.
yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
Just say thank you.
It's not a business, Donald Trump. People's lives are at stake. Not just livelihoods, not just a roof over their heads. It's the roof over all their heads. It's their futures and their children's futures and their dreams. And I know you can't empathize because you don't have that capacity. That doesn't change the fact that other people in the government need to step up and get you out of here. God damn.
I said a lot of
State
times
diplomacy.
Except
to American people.
that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that.
There's an opinion
What?
statement, JD, when you're wrong. Let's just talk about this, but not in front of the media because you're wrong.
And then let's litigate this. Like, what are you gonna sue Putin? What?
You're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long.
Oh, is that why?
You have to be thankful. You don't have the
I'm
cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers. Listen,
Don't please
you're running
Mr.
low
Brad.
on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And
Brad.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't
doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what-
That
what
wasn't
this
with me.
means. It
That was
wasn't
with
with you.
a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person.
This
That
is
was
your,
with,
this
that was
is
with
your
Obama.
president. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is,
I will, just to give Trump some credit and to throw some shade on Obama. Obama absolutely dropped the ball in 2014 with Crimea. He did not do anything to curtail Russia, minus a few little sanctions that obviously sanctions are basically useless. Trump did give...
The effect isn't felt as it's not as easily measurable. But to say the sanctions are useless, just look at Iran. Look at the actual state of the Russian economy.
Okay, okay. Useless in deterring or in motivating the government. I mean, like, it hurts the people, but it very rarely do sanctions actually lead to governments doing something different. Especially when you're
does
talking about
prevent
Russia
certain
and
things,
Iran.
though, like sanctioning Iran has delayed their access to mass murder weapons for a long time. Has basically limited their influence.
Okay, but I would say that Israel has done a lot more than sanctions to limit Iran's influence.
And Israel wouldn't exist if it weren't for any of the backing of the United States and the sanctions that we're providing on everyone else and all the economic pressures that we can leverage. America can leverage economic pressures that no other nation can.
Well,
in
okay,
this
yeah, but it
respect.
hasn't changed what's going on in Russia.
But Iran hasn't broken out into a war. And no, it has, actually, because it's limited the actual amount of money and capital that is at their disposal.
But they
changes
circumvent-
the price.
but they circumvent this with the
forces
Wagner Group and
it
raw
forces
minerals.
them to do harder things and less efficient things. Yes,
Well,
sanctions absolutely happen. We can do a whole
no,
deep dive on that because I think
we're
you
being
need
nitpicky here.
No.
Yes, we are,
You said
because
sanctions are useless.
My
They're
point
not.
is completely gone now because we just decided to go off in this tangent. You see what happens, everyone, when he gets amped up and stuff like that? He just completely has to throw it at all my
No, it's a
soft
pretty big
targets.
point saying that sanctions are useless. If sanctions were useless, Russia wouldn't care and wouldn't be lobbying Trump to lift them.
Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful. Because let me tell you, you don't have the cards.
Here's what it is. Trump wants it all to be about him, so the thanks have to go to him. He has to feel like he's being showered in praise and gratitude. He needs to feel that he's the one in control and he's groveling, and then he, feels happy. That's all he needs. It doesn't matter if he's thanking the American people or thanking individual senators or thanking a general for his advice. No, it has to be Trump. You have to thank him because in his mind, he is America.
With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any.
What cards? He already asked what kind of diplomacy, what kind of cards, and all you did was yell at him about how disrespectful he is. How dare he ask a question, motherfuckers?
Cards.
Oh, well, that's the end of it. All right, sorry, guys. This was not my most composed video I've ever made, but holy hell. That was disgraceful. That was embarrassing.
That was definitely something else. I mean, normally state leaders are met with a lot more decorum and common sense. That was what amounts to a clusterfuck of bickering, two bickering people and one person trying to stand his ground and defend his country from all these straight up lies and insinuations that they're courting World War III and a bullet of other just random things that have nothing to do with.
I think Zelenskyy did a pretty admirable job. You can tell he was a bit blindsided in the beginning. He was not expecting that, but then once it settled, he was like, all right, this is how it's going to be. He didn't back down. He didn't say, oh, of course, you're right, my bad, let's move on. No, he was like, no, tell me how to do this. This is what's going on. You guys aren't even here. Come to Ukraine. I don't know what's going to come of this. I mean, they kicked him out and the press conference was canceled. I do know that the European Union is sort of rushing to create a new coalition, basically, that excludes the United States. Even the leader of the Italian government right now, who's actually a member of the far-right party, even she was pretty outspoken in her criticism of Donald Trump right now, and saying that they need to find a way forward without the United States. And when the far-right leaders in Europe say that, you know we've gone to a new place in history.
Yeah, it is an interesting turning point. But, and this is not to spark an argument, this is just something. Far right in Europe and far right in America do not mean the same thing.
No. For example, in the German, this is kind of an aside, but as an example about European politics, most recent German election a few days ago, the CDU, which is technically the conservatives in Germany, won the majority of the votes. Well, that party is probably policy-wise more aligned with the Democrats in the United States. So just to give you an example, that's how different the political sort of divide is. What is far right in Germany and what is far right in America has diverged, I would say, mostly from the early 2000s to now.
Well, I would actually go further than that. I would say that like they were never anything close together, because even the conservatives in Europe accepted for the most part the social contract
That's
that
true.
the European citizens have with their government. The American social contract between the government and the citizens is completely different. Like most people here are just like, no, I don't want the government anywhere near or as limited as possible on our like enterprises and all this other type of stuff. And like health insurance is a really good example. But in Europe, it's a lot more like, no, we're going to take care of our citizens because we have a lot longer of a history of fucking over you through monarchy and stuff like that allowed this natural evolution, so the social contract could be a lot more favorable in Europe than it is here.
And there's an argument to be made as well that the United States, the people in the United States, are very, very not used to fighting for their advocating for themselves against the government. You're very, very happy to turn over authority and power to corporations in the United States, which generally is more frowned upon in the EU. EU has much stricter regulations on what corporations can and cannot do in respect to how they treat customers and provide services and goods. And the EU will absolutely come down with a hammer on corporations, including corporations like Tesla that are probably untouchable in the United States under the current administration. In the EU, workers will even strike in solidarity with other industries just to make sure that, like Tesla couldn't offload some of their shipments into Norway because the auto manufacturing industry in Norway was striking against Tesla's practices. That's the kind of solidarity that you just miss in America.
Yeah.
We may call ourselves the United States of America, and the European Union may be a younger union politically, but in some respects, right now, they're becoming more of a union than the American Union is.
Yeah, definitely. All right, everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed this conversation and listening to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance belittle Volodymyr Zelenskyy. Do let us know how you thought the conversation went down in the comments. Like and subscribe too, please.
And you know that we get pretty emotional about this because we care about what happens in the United States, and we care about the people in the world. We have empathy and sympathy for these people. So when it seems like we're getting heated and lost for words, it's because we are.
Yes. This channel is all about trying to bring back normalcy and show anyone who wants to watch the problems with both sides and bring home that division that has been sowing online is absolutely cancerous, and we want to bring back the beautiful states that we know.
Return balance to the Force.
Indeed.
On that note, thanks guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will catch you next time.